Welcome back to another issue of Color Break. This is issue number 16. This is Color Break, your third favorite comic book podcast. I'm your co-host, as always, Cody Collects, and I'm here with my mustachioed co-host, Comic Book Stash. How's it going?
How's it going, bud? Every time we have a guest on, I really I'm like, okay, let's be professional. And then we're not professionals.
It falls apart right at the start, right? That's always how it goes.
Yeah, it took about, 5 seconds for it to fall apart? I love it.
Yeah, it's garbage truck on fire, but we are here with special guest, Sammy the Monster. How's it going?
Hello. Thanks for having me. It's going well. I'm so happy to
Of
hear you
course.
guys read The Many Layla Star. So I'm really excited for this episode, for this issue.
Yeah, we thought we're trying to be
We-
clever by
we say
calling
ep-
it every episode an issue. We try to be, yeah. So as Sammy
dig it.
mentioned, I'm sure we'll be talking about the Many Desolate Star. That'll probably be the meat of our conversation. Because Christian and I
I'm a
have just recently
vegetarian.
read it, and we know. Oh, nice. Okay,
The
nice.
the impossible
That's
meat.
pretty
meat.
good.
The impossible meat of the situation.
Yeah, exactly. The impossible meat. But yeah, before we get into that and talking about other indie comics that we love, Sammy, for our audience that might not, be aware of you, how'd you get into comics? What's that nerd origin story?
Oh man, that is a complicated one. It's like a really complicated story. Well, first of all, I've been a nerd my entire life. Like as far back as I could remember. My earliest memories are me like in my room, obsessing over Danny Phantom, making my own little comic book strip based off Danny Phantom. If Danny Phantom was evil though and like cooler, it was edgy. I would like play with my action figures and like just like draw things. And so I've always been really nerdy. I always loved dressing up. Back in the day when I did like Harry Potter, my mom put me in the Harry Potter fan club at the age of 2 years old. So I was like dressing up every weekend, essentially cosplaying since 2. So I've always been nerdy. I've always loved like Teen Titans, so I've always gravitated towards DC Comics. And then in high school, that was kind of a transition in like society of like Comic-Con and cosplaying a nerd being like nerdy to it becoming slowly like mainstream. You know what I'm talking about? So I was like right there at the edge. Like everything I was made fun of for was now sort of like circulating, and it was kind of cool on Instagram. So like I had more like cosplayers to look up to, and then I started to cosplay a little bit. And then I went to Barnes & Noble, picked up Teen Titans, a kid's game, and that was my first trade paperback. And I would read trade paperbacks from Barnes & Noble, order them online. And then, it was casual. I enjoyed it. And then during the first lockdown, which was for months, just pure isolation, I downloaded the DC Comics app, the Infinite app, and I read so many comics. And then I got super into it. And it was really great. And then fast forward to when lockdown was sort of over, I was looking for a job. And I remember I was like on the strip of stores, actually. And I had an interview with this one store. And it went okay. I didn't really like them. And I ended up walking away. And I had like an extra resume with me. I didn't want to carry it anymore. So I saw there was a local comic book shop. And so I was like, hey, are you guys hiring? I have a resume with me. They're like, no, we're not hiring. I was like, well, can I give you my resume anyway? And they're like, sure. I just was like, take it or I'm going to throw it away. I don't want to carry it around anymore. And they did end up hiring me. And that was the first time I was like able, I was keeping up with like monthly comics. I had a pull list every week. I was working in a comic shop, talking about comics all day. And I left the comic book shop because retail is rough. You know what I'm saying? Not my thing.
Yeah.
Did retail for years. I was like, you know what? I think I need to find something else. Love the shop, love the people. But I was going to miss recommending comics to people because more often than not, I would help people find their first comic books. So like women and like little girls who are very intimidated. And they're like, oh, like little girls would be like, no, these are for boys, mommy. And the mom's like, no, that's not true. Like, look, we could ask them to help you find something. So I would help like little kids. And like women who are like, I don't care about Batman. I'm like, I got you, man. I know some female-led stuff. So I was gonna miss that. So I posted like 3 videos on TikTok, just like reviewing some comics I liked. Got like 20 likes each. Didn't really think much of it. And then I got contacted by a publishing company to do a partnership with them. And that was my first like collaboration partnership. And I was like, maybe I should take this a bit more seriously. And so then I started reading more consistently, putting out videos. And now I work for a different publishing company, and then do my content for Sammy the Monster. So that's how I got into comics, and that's how I got into content creation, which I over-explained myself. But that's my story.
Okay,
No,
so
that's
I
great.
had to make mental notes.
Yeah, sorry.
I had to make
No.
I had to make mental notes. Number one, Danny Phantom deserves a comic book.
Yeah, dude, it's true. Back when I was in high school, I was applying to film school, and I wrote my college essay on how much Danny Phantom inspired me as a kid that, like, had me make comic books, which is essentially storyboarding. So my college essay that got me into film school was actually about Danny Phantom.
It's
Nice.
I know a lot of people love it. It's not this like obscure show, but more people should know it.
Absolutely.
My point.
It's true. Absolutely.
Second
all
of
of like
all,
what's his name?
recommending
Butch Hartman?
comics.
Oh,
But
sorry,
yes.
Christian. I was gonna say Butch Hartman, right?
No.
Out of all his shows, isn't
Yeah.
that the guy? Right? Danny Phantom
Hartman, yeah,
is his
he-
best. Absolutely. So I'm with you, Christian. That's the one that needs all the love. Everybody's talking
What
about
else did he
Fairly
do?
Odd Parents and all that stuff, but
Oh,
Fairly
yeah.
Odd Parents.
yeah, like that art style.
Tough
Anything
Puppy.
that's got that art style, but
That makes sense.
anyway,
Makes sense.
I don't want to
now
cut you
he's
off.
making
Christian. I'm sorry.
now he's making religious books. Which is a big transition from Danny Phantom
true.
to the
That is so 180.
yeah. It went from Ghost to the Holy Ghost.
That's fun. It's a good pun.
Nice. So I didn't mean to cut you
But
off. Christian.
no. I love recommending comics to people. I do this thing where if I have a new friend, I'll make him read a comic book
Yeah, I do the same
and then
thing.
ruin their life.
Relate.
We had I think 2 issues ago with my friend Ivan from work. He liked superheroes, and then I like just showed him my comics, and now he's every week.
He's gonna use short box soon, huh?
He's hooked.
Oh yeah, no, we were talking about. He told me I needed somewhere to put him now, and I was like, oh, you're at that point.
Oh yeah, my friend is there. One of my best friends of like 10 years. It's like, I need to buy something for the comics you keep making me buy. And I'm like, yeah, we'll figure it out. Don't worry.
Yeah, and my third and final point. I remember when me and Cody first became friends, and Cody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's like around the first time I saw you, Sammy, on TikTok, and I remember saying, yeah, she's gonna be a star.
Thanks for saying that.
Keep an eye out for that one. And yeah, I definitely remember being like, because my main issue with making content is like personality. Sometimes I feel like I'm just like blank and talking to a camera, and then I was like, no, she's moving around, jumping,
It's my ADHD.
and that's what I'm missing.
Yeah, they
Well, they
got.
just like
I mean, your
their
videos have
videos.
such a great vibe, so I think that's
I
what
appreciate
stood out to me in Christian. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and for me, the thing is that like, and this is a compliment. You don't really do anything other than being yourself. It's not like you have like like a fancy like green screen or anything. You're just yourself, and that's what sells it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Got my background with all my stuff.
Yeah, that's a good looking background.
Thank you. I want to paint the walls actually and get some like nicer shelves because I'm running out of space to display all my favorite like variants.
You know what? I run into the problem of sharing a room with a 20-year-old,
Really?
and a 20-year-old who does not like comic books or ever cared about superheroes. So it's a mess. Those guitars
Fighting
back
for
there,
space.
not mine. That's his thing.
It'd be like that sometimes.
So
I have a guitar in the
So
corner. I have
Sammy.
a whole bookshelf of comics.
nice.
Love it.
I got I mean, you can see mine just off camera here. But so Sammy, you were saying earlier, you were drawn to DC, and I was going to ask you what kind of drew you to DC more than like Marvel or like kind of towing the line between both.
Right, that's a good question. So I love the MCU. I've been keeping up with the MCU since like the first Iron Man movie. I would go like first weekend. Loved it. I definitely feel like I'm less excited these days. I feel like now I'm just chill. You know what I'm saying? I'm more of like a fan to like, okay, yeah, I'll watch the new movie. Which there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody kind of, your interests change. But I like the movies, and then for DC, I grew up with the cartoons like Teen Titans and stuff, and they're like animated movies circling around. They have great animated movies, and I don't know. I just really was drawn more so to the characters in DC. If I had to make an educated guess, it would be probably because they were younger and I'm younger, and my only exposure to Marvel for the most part was the movies. And of course, I like, a young teenager or like a kid relate to Tony Stark being like a guy in his, late 30s, early 40s. So I think maybe what gravitated me towards it was Teen Titans. And I don't know, I just like it better. I have a hard time really getting into Marvel. I find that I enjoy the stories and the characters more in DC. I really don't know what it is, to be honest. I mean, I do read some Marvel comics, but for the most part, it's mostly just indie comics, and then secondary was DC.
Just like Cody. Cody stopped buying Marvel comics physically.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's like a long story, but I guess I cut all Marvel books off my pull list. I had maybe 8 going at some point. I got the Marvel Unlimited app, so I think I'm gonna keep up with it. Going
That's
forward
fair.
on that. I don't know. Sammy, you probably know because you were working at a comic shop, but just the paper quality of Marvel. I don't know if it has gone down, like how fast it went down, but just the actual like physical product. It's so flimsy and thin. I don't know. To
Interesting.
me, it was like, if I'm going to be spending that money, I'd rather go to like, Boom or Image, where they put out great stuff,
Ooh,
and they also put
true.
out quality products. So that's kind of my thinking of why I cut out Marvel. It's pretty
You still read them?
controversial to some. Yeah, exactly. I still read them, so it's still, yeah.
That's
Still
fair.
getting it. Yeah.
I'll say this, and I still buy Marvel. I'm actually looking at my pile of Marvel comics over here. I will say, not right now that you guys were talking, I zoned out for a minute and I try to count how many female led Marvel comic runs are at right now, and I really couldn't go past like 2. But like DC has Wonder Woman, Supergirl, Batgirl, Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy.
I like that observation a
Yeah.
lot. I like that you thought about that. I don't really think I know enough about Marvel comics to really say how many female-led stuff they have. But I think one of the reasons that I have gravitated toward DC Comics is because it's easier for me to find female-led comics and like queer comics. Once again, I don't know enough about Marvel, but that's like, it's easy for me to find those things like Poison Ivy, queer, female-led comic. Harley Quinn is like main people in like that you think of at DC. So I think that's like another reason I really like it. I really love the DC Pride anthology that comes out every year. I think there are 3 coming out this year now, which is really exciting for me. So I really, diversity is very important to me. Representation is important to me when reading comics. And backtracking on the quality of Marvel comics, I actually don't work at a comic shop anymore. Now I work, doing content creation for a publishing company, but back when I did, I don't think I could remember or recall the quality of Marvel comics, but I will say like Boom Studios does have really good quality stuff. Like it has that like matte quality to the covers. And then of course, like there's a lot of cardstock options for DC Comics.
Yes,
That's true.
more than 100%. And sometimes what I like about Image, Boom, they'll change the type of paper depending on the story.
Ooh, that's cool. I never noticed that.
Sometimes they'll go for like the newspaper type of paper. Sometimes they'll do glossy. It depends on what the story is, and I really love that.
Yeah.
I think too, Christian. So I have noticed that even on the trade paperbacks too, like sometimes you'll get a trade from Image and it'll be just like slightly better quality, which I thought was interesting too, because typically for trades usually they're. Speaking of trade, we're not gonna talk about it now, but I got the Many Deaths trade here. Boom puts out
Lovely.
some great trades, I will say.
I love Boom Studios so much.
Yeah, Boom's on the come up too.
I
They
do
got a lot
find
of
it
good
interesting.
stuff. Yeah.
Oh, the amount of like, I remember walking into a comic book store and immediately I went for Marvel. It's what I knew. But I remember picking out my first indie and being like, this is so I don't need to know 120 years of history.
Yes.
Great.
Oh my
I
god.
can just jump on.
What was your first indie comic?
Okay, so as a joke, I like to say that my first indie comic was Nice House on the Lake,
Okay.
just because it's not indie, but it's
Right.
indie
Yeah.
adjacent.
I'd say it's indie. I consider anything not Marvel or DC indie comics.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's technically a DC comic book.
It's
but,
like the black
Oh,
label
yeah.
or
But is
whatever.
Black Label.
So, but like Nice House, and we've
Umbrella.
talked about this, Christian. It feels like it feels like it could easily be a Boom series or an Image series.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any DC characters. You know what I mean? It just so happens
I
it's
actually
under
forgot.
DC's. You know what I mean? So
my first indie comic was actually, to go back to it. It was Radiant Black.
Oh, nice.
Radiant Black.
I love Radiant Black.
I got the first trade and I fell in love with it on day one.
It's so well done. Like, even if the story wasn't about superheroes, the characters are just so interesting.
I remember, like, I was like, okay, I read it, and there's like aliens, and there's like a language that's just like scribbles, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then I checked the last page,
Yeah.
and it has like the actual dictionary,
You translate it.
and like you could translate it, and I was like, oh, these guys went all out.
Yeah, so cool. Kyle Higgins, right? Yeah. Are you reading Radiant Pink?
No, not yet. I'm catching up, but
Good.
pink's my favorite color, so
Oh, nice.
gotta get on it.
I don't really need a good story, just the title itself. I was like,
Love it.
you said pink, I'm in.
It's a fun story. The main character is a queer woman of color with anxiety. It's great. Good representation.
I like real characters, so that's good.
Yeah, me too.
That's good. Yeah.
You
No,
said
I mean-
anxiety, and I was like,
Perfect. I feel represented. I got anxiety. No, but I
Yeah.
think it's great. Yeah, Radiant Black is so good, Christian. I'm so far behind on it, dude. And I'm
Me too.
glad they keep on expanding the universe, but now I'm getting even more behind. There's so many different spin-offs and miniseries, so I'm kind of getting a little lost. I just need to take a step back, and just catch up on all the Radiant Black, because I think right now they must have 5 series, 6 series. I know they put out one this week even. It's called No One. I think that takes place in the Massiverse. Anyways,
Dang.
that's my
I'm
big
so
problem with
behind
Radiant
too.
Black is it's just expanding
I'll
so
wait for
fast,
the
but people
compendium.
love it. Yeah, the compendium for
It's a
sure.
cool concept.
Yeah.
it's like the Power Rangers, but like with superpowers.
Yeah. It's a bit more like, I'd say, grounded. I actually have not really consumed any Power Ranger media except for that movie that came out with the actress from Aladdin and Charlie's Angels in it. And the guy from
Which I
Right.
will say, that Power Rangers movie could have been like its own universe, but they messed it up.
I liked it, but once again,
Oh.
I don't know.
I liked it, but I was like, man, they could have done so much more. Because Power Rangers, not to me, I watched it casually as a kid, but to a lot of people, Power Rangers is the thing.
Right, right.
Yeah, dude.
I liked how there was a
there's some
queer
diehard
character.
Power Ranger fans. Yeah.
I wish
That's
I knew
true,
more,
too.
honestly. I don't really know that much. I know Boom publishes Power Rangers now, huh?
So when you
Yeah,
guys
they
are
had
you
Power
guys are
Rangers
talking
and
about
Godzilla.
when you're talking about Kyle Higgins, I think he actually did some Power Rangers work before he started Radiant Black.
He did.
So that might be why
Yeah.
you get a lot of Power Ranger type of vibes.
Exactly.
But yeah.
And then Melissa Flores, who is one of the writers for Radiant Pink, she also is a writer for Power Rangers.
Oh,
So
nice.
very, very, very similar vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, they probably said, what if we grabbed this thing we're doing right now, but just made it better? And that's a hot take. So
I mean, yeah, they don't have to make sure everything's cleared with whatever that company is that owns Power Rangers. I don't know. They can do their own thing. And to Sammy's point earlier, I mean, they can bring in just like a ton of diverse, talent, writers and artists and that sort of thing, to jump on a Radiant Black series, start up their own character if they want, and then you get cool stuff like.
and what I
Radiant
like
Pink.
about indie comics just have this power that like they're not held by anything. I mean, like Radiant Black came out and they're like, hey, this was good. What if we just make a whole universe? I mean, Ice Cream Man said like, hey, let's put out Haha. That's another spinoff. What's it called? Something is Killing the Children. They did a spinoff. Like, they're not held
Yeah.
by anything. They can just make it whatever they want, whenever they want. And I love it because for new readers, I think
Yes.
they're always scared, like, oh, Batman, it's like so long. I don't know where to start. Just go indie, and a whole new world.
I completely
You
agree.
didn't have to know anything.
I 100% agree. I kind of view indie comics as like standalone movies in a way, and then anything that is more expanded upon, especially like the big two and like stuff like the Massiverse, I feel like they're franchises. So, like Radiant Black and DC and Marvel, it's like watching like, I don't know, the Fast and Furious franchise or like the John Wick franchise, as opposed to like the Many Deaths of Layla Starr, which is just a really beautiful like standalone limited one movie thing. I really do think that comics have people misunderstand it, because essentially it's a form of storytelling, and anything can be a story. Anything that can be a movie or TV show can be an indie comic.
Yeah, well
And
said.
people think immediately superheroes, and like it's not just superheroes.
It's true.
Like, it's a big part of it. It's not, I can't argue against that, but I mean, the amount of indie comics that are just like about a human being. I mean, Macebook
Yeah.
is just about grief.
What's that?
Oh, so
Cody,
Sammy,
please,
you would
take-
love Maze.
take the floor.
Okay, so Maze Book it's got to be in like my top 5 comics I've ever read of all time.
Okay.
Writer
Hell
and
yeah.
artist, you got Jeff Lemire. So he's doing both. He's wearing
Oh,
writer hat, artist hat.
I love Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, yep. So
Nice.
this came out on, I think it was Dark Horse, published it, and essentially it's about a man whose a daughter had passed away, and he's going through it, and he's going a little crazy, maybe, and he kind of goes on this journey to try to find. He thinks his daughter is maybe out there. She calls him on the phone or whatever, but it's one of those stories like, is it all in his head type of thing. But yeah, it's got a great message about grief and his journey as a father who lost a daughter. It's a really touching story. And
What's it called?
so like, it's called Maze Book. Yep, all one word, Maze Book,
Okay.
from Dark Horse.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you would like. I think most people would like Maze Book, to be honest.
The hardcover is beautiful. I haven't read it, but I know, like Cody said, did you say you cried or almost cried?
Oh, I've
Oh,
seen
dude.
this. I've seen this around.
I've been crying. Almost every comic I read nowadays, Christian, I cry, and that's it right there, Sammy. That's the right one. So,
Nice.
so when we're talking about books that make us cry, this might be a good time to start talking about Many Deaths of Layla Starr.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I finished this like, I don't know, less than 2 hours ago, because I wanted to be
Nice.
fresh for the pod, and I was tearing
Good.
up. I was tearing up, man. I don't know about you guys.
Absolutely. It's a tearjerker in the best way possible.
Yeah, and
It didn't make me cry, but it did something worse and made me think too much.
just think,
That's
yeah, I
fair.
mean, that's almost worse when you're sitting in silence just thinking about what you just read.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was my day off. I was like, let me relax, have some fun, and I
Oh, man.
finished it, and I was like, God.
Yeah.
Don't read Layla Starr on your day off. That's lesson learned.
Or do. It's beautiful.
Or
Yeah.
do and have.
Oh,
it's a great read. Absolutely.
I'll do it again.
Yeah. I need to reread it soon. I just got the hardcover. I should read the hardcover. Maybe it'll be a different experience now that it's a hardcover.
Maybe. I mean,
Yeah, no,
that
it
that
feels
oversized
different.
art.
Yeah.
I will say, I understand that. One of my favorite movies is Memento, and I bought the collector's edition, and it's the same exact movie, but every time I watch the collector's edition, it feels different. Putting in the CD.
Right. At least with a
Right.
different,
Make it special.
printing of a comic or a different format. At least it's slightly different, Christian. Like bigger pages at least.
Yeah.
For art that you really
Yeah,
like.
but I get to look at the menu and press play.
That's true. Different.
I love the. No, that's a good point. I love the live action Scooby Doo movies with like Sarah Michelle Gellar and stuff,
Yes.
and I love those menu pages. I have them on DVD.
That is so
Acceptance.
interesting you brought that up. That's a core memory, Sammy, that you just unlocked, was like the Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Christian, put it right here. Okay. In the edit. Christian will fix
yes.
that.
Here you go.
No, so if we're talking about Many Deaths of Layla Starr, so I don't know, are you guys super familiar with Ron V's writing? Because I want to say this maybe is only like the 4th series I've read from Ron V. So I don't know, are you guys like super familiar with Ron V's writing? Because I thought this was I mean, the writing alone was phenomenal. It's really wordy, but in kind of like a good way.
like
It's not really off-putting, right? Everything kind of
Yeah.
flows. Very poetic in the way that he writes, especially this year. So yeah, I don't know. You guys familiar with like all around V stuff? I don't know. You guys big Rom V heads?
I'm not. He's doing Batman.
You-
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's doing Detective Comics. Yep.
Detective Comics.
The only. Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
The
I had
only.
nothing important to say.
The only like solo Batman comic I ever read was Batman White Knight. So I'm not too
Gotcha.
familiar with what's going on with Detective Comics.
Detective Comics got really dark, and that's a Ron
Yeah.
V thing.
Okay.
Ron,
Respect.
yeah. If Ron V's not doing like some thinker type of book that really makes you cry and just weep, he's probably doing something a little scary. So definitely his Detective Comics run, he's brought back some of that darker side to Batman. I'd recommend it. I think it's pretty good, but
Yeah.
at this point, it's probably
And he also
a bunch of
did
issues.
Swamp
in,
Thing,
but-
right? We read that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I need to read that. I
Yep.
really need to get into Swamp Thing. I mean, he's homies with Poison Ivy, you know? I gotta. Homies, because they
That's
share
true.
powers.
That's
kind
true.
of. The green.
Yeah,
Does she show up? And I think she shows up, right?
I'm
Poison
she
Ivy?
does.
Sold.
She actually
I'll
does
read it.
show up. So yeah. So Sammy,
shows up.
you would like Swamp Thing too. The Rom V run. I think it's like 12 issues long or something like that.
Okay, that's not bad. It's like
Yeah.
2 trades. I
Yeah.
have Swamp Thing over here, I think, somewhere.
And I'll say this. You talk about Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy is probably my favorite comic book that came out last year.
Oh my god, it's so good,
Like
isn't it?
I'm
Yeah.
so happy it's
Poison Ivy by
upgrade
G.
to an
Willow
ongoing.
Wilson. God, I remember reading issue number 1 and saying, "There's no way this is a mini."
I
There's just
don't know how it would have gotten wrapped up in like what 6 issues. I don't know how it would have been a mini either. It's so well done. Poison Ivy has so much potential because, you know, turning plant powers to become deadly and just like her own struggle with humanity and her relationship with Harley Quinn that grounds her. It's just so many interesting dynamics. And I felt like finally they like, you know, they gave her justice in like her storyline.
Yeah.
Like she always had so much potential in this solo series has been like 100% met. So everything I ever wanted from this character.
it's to me. I mean, the writing is so deep. First of all, I mean, it really killed me from issue 1. It's a love letter to the character, and the art. And I'm looking it up right here. It's Marcio Takara. The art is
Yep.
some of my favorite art in comic books in 2022.
Nice.
It's so scary.
It is. It's so creepy.
I loved it. I remember like looking at when issue number 1 came out. I read it, and then issue number 2 came out, and I could not choose a cover that I liked. But I liked all of them.
I do the same thing.
All the covers are
I'm buying all the
bangers.
covers.
Yeah, all the covers.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Jessica
Yeah.
Fong, I think, is the artist for cover A's, and all the A covers
I think
Yes.
you're
are
right.
amazing.
Jessica Fong.
Jessica Fong, yeah, big fan.
Yeah, for me, big fan. For me, the thing was I'm a big A cover kind of guy. I stick to the main one.
Okay,
Rarely change it. But for Poison Ivy, it really made me question my tactics.
nice. I love variants. I'm into them. I'll buy all the variants. I love them.
Yeah, I mean, looking behind you, you have a.
I know
Yeah,
that's a lot.
quite a
Some
I
good
see
stuff.
some back there.
Yeah,
And not only that, you have one of my favorite indie series of all time up there, 8 Billion Genies.
yes,
which-
that's a good one. I'm so behind.
That's
on
a
it.
good
I'm like
one.
2 issues behind.
I'm 2 issues behind as well, so don't worry.
Okay,
I'm not
good.
going to spoil
But, like,
anything.
Okay, great.
With the delay, I mean, you know, it's been delayed. Hasn't like issue 8 been delayed so many times that it's you might as well just almost
Yeah.
reread it at this point. You know what I mean?
mean,
But that
the
was a
cool
series
thing
that
to me with
stood out
8
to me
Billion
last year, too.
Genies. I bought 8 Billion Genies issue number 1 because I read Darth Vader by Charles Soule, and I was like, I like his writing. Let's see what else he's doing. And I read issue number 1 day 1, and I was like, I need to make a video about this right now.
Hell
Filmed a
yeah.
quick video, and then I woke up the next day and it was like picked up by Amazon, and I was like,
Yeah, I'm excited. to do.
100%.
I
It
like
took like a day for it to get picked up.
nice.
Dude, Christian, that was such a crazy time because I didn't have 8 billion genies on my radar. I hate to say it. So when the first printing sold, when they sold out, and then I think you're right, Christian. 2 days later, they announced like it got picked up by Amazon, and that just threw 8 billion genies. All the on like eBay and stuff, prices were shooting up. Everybody's trying to get in
Oh
on that
yeah.
speculation game. I just wanted to read the dang thing, so it took me until they did their second and third printing or whatever till I could finally get my hands on a issue number one. But I'm definitely glad I did. That's a standout series. And Charles Soule is doing another series right now that maybe is a good time to mention. I think it's coming out of Image.
Yeah,
But Charles
well,
Soule
you
is
look
really
for it.
impressing me the more I read Charles Soule. He's definitely a creator that's on
You
my
should
radar.
definitely read his Darth Vader run. It's fantastic. It's Darth Vader right after Revenge of the Sith. Like
Hmm.
when when the credits come on for Revenge of the Sith, that's when his comic book run starts, and you see him become a Sith, and it's great.
Oh,
It's
that's
so
cool.
human
Oh
for
wait, that's
such a
cool.
like a. I love it, and I will say we're going to see 2E2 and Charles Soule is going to be there, and I have my first printing of 8 billion genies. I'm just gonna bring. I'm never gonna sell it. I'm just gonna get it signed, CGC that thing, and
Nice.
put it up on the wall.
Wait, where are you going to get this done?
Chicago and C2E2.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, so this might be like another kind of mini topic type of thing. So Sammy, I know that you go to a lot of cons, right? I think you go to a lot of cons. Or
Yeah,
you've
like a
been
couple
to.
times a year.
So like
I've been to a
this
lot
will
of
be
cons.
Christian and I's
Yes.
first Comic Con.
Oh, nice.
First time meeting each other too.
Oh,
First time meeting each
nice.
other too. But I don't know,
That's-
Sammy,
that's
if we could ask you for some kind of advice or like what do we do, because we really don't have any plans. We just know we're going. It's like, what do you do at a con if you're a comic fan, right?
Right. So I'll break it down for you guys. So for me, I cosplayed at almost every con I went to, so that itself was its own experience. But if you're not dressing up, there's the giant hall where you can do all your shopping. That's where you could find comics, graded comics, pop Funkos, collectibles. So you're probably gonna spend a lot of your time walking through all the booths, looking at all like art. There's the artist alley, which is the people doing the fan art. They sell prints, really like cool custom like unique things like pins, you name it. So that itself is a great experience, just like looking at all the art and then all the collectible stuff that you could buy. And there's just like a lot of really cool brands that will end up going there. Like I know when I was like 18, Saber Forge, no, or Ultra Sabers. They do custom lightsabers. Like they had a booth there. I bought a lightsaber for like $80 when I was 18. Still have it. So that will take up a good chunk of it. And then there are panels. Now a lot of the panels these days are for networking, which is good because you guys make content and stuff. But I'd say a lot of it is like like writing workshops or like how to break in the industry, or it's like analyzing stuff. Like, oh, let's talk about like queer representation in like modern media. So there's like a lot of really great panels. Sometimes there'll be like active stuff like learn leather making, or here's a screening of Dr. Horrible sing-along blog. So it's honestly pretty hit or miss on if you'll find a panel that appeals to you. So I'd say those are the two main factors. And then people are there signing things as well. So like comic book artists or like celebrities, actors. I think a lot of times you have to buy an extra ticket for that, but sometimes they're just hanging out their booths. So I'd say expect a lot of shopping, and then if you want panels, bring snacks and water. And that's
I
pretty much
heard
it.
the food is I heard the food is expensive and not good.
Yeah, I would
At,
not
like,
recommend
every
eating
con,
food
right?
like the actual convention hall. Yeah, but luckily the ones that I go to, they have food trucks outside of them, so hopefully that's the case for you guys.
Nice.
You know
Nah,
what?
that's
It's
cool.
it's interesting for us because I got a creator pass, so I have to make content.
Right, nice.
So
Do
that's
they make
fun
you,
on its
Christian?
own.
That
You
is
know?
fun. No, it's true. It's good to have something to do.
No, it's not like they made like you have to make 5 videos a day, but
Yeah.
it's one of the things that they want you to make content.
Yeah.
I'm not like my thing is always the struggle is we're going with a group of people, Nerd Initiative. And
Nice.
what I'm thinking is, and I kind of run it for the fans so they can know what fans. I don't have fans. People who watch my videos, I can kind of give them an idea. When you have 15 people going creating content, there's a chance that everyone's going to post the same video.
I mean, everybody has a different perspective, so I think that's what makes it fun,
So I'm filming at the con, but I'm also bringing a camera.
Oh.
Getting back to the Airbnb, editing, post the next day. I'm gonna
Dang, okay.
no sleep.
Wow.
No
Okay.
sleep.
Wow. I'm
gonna sleep,
going to
Christian.
WonderCon.
I'll do the sleep.
That's pretty intense.
That's
I'm not gonna lie to you. You should definitely eat food and go to sleep. It's like you're gonna be walking around a lot. I'm going to WonderCon this month. Making
nice.
content for Shortbox, and I'm only doing one day because I'm gonna be honest. Maybe I'm just too old to go all 3 days now. But I'm gonna make some videos and edit them the next day and stuff. I'm not even old.
You know what?
But I've been doing this since I was like
I'm
16, 17.
Yeah.
So I don't know how old are you, Sammy?
24.
Okay, so
we're all the same age.
We're all the same age here. Good.
Nice.
So maybe it'll affect us and we'll suffer just
No,
the same as you.
I've been doing this a long time. Like after years of walking around conventions, I'm like, yeah, I just want to go for one day. It's a lot to go through, and there's a lot of people there, and I'm kind of an introvert. It's a lot to process,
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to go with Cody because I'll have my emotional support Cody next to me.
That is really good. My emotional
if
support.
I'm going through it.
Good. No, it's good to have a buddy. No, it's like super good to have a buddy.
Yeah, I'm gonna, backpack, battery for my phone.
Yeah, water.
That's the one thing I bought, a battery.
Oh, that's good.
And I went all out. I'm talking like at least $20.
Oh, all out.
So
nice.
Okay, so this is actually kind of weird because I just remembered I think the first video of yours that I saw, Sammy, you were interviewing a cosplayer outside of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking. Maybe it was the first video where you had like your mic, like your Doctor Who mic, maybe.
Yeah, no.
The sonic screwdriver.
Yes, it was actually. That's a funny story. So my mutual Dimitri from the Keeg, he was like, "Hey, do you want to go to San Diego and like hang outside Comic-Con? We don't have tickets, but like maybe we'll talk to people, get some content." I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not? I've never been to San Diego." We drive there after not sleeping the night before because we both have insomnia, just separately, just coincidentally. We go there, and we're like chilling, walking around, doing all the free stuff, kind of vlogging about it. And then I was like, I want to interview people, like cosplayers. So I'm like really shy and nervous, and I'm trying to like interview people, and like the first two people said no, and then I was like, I don't even know what to ask them. And like the first people who actually agreed to it were those two people that you first see in the video. And they were so freaking nice. And they're like, oh, like, we'll exchange information so we can see your video. Like, they were so freaking nice. I didn't know that one of them was, like, a famous voice actor and YouTuber. I had no idea. And so everybody was like, that's Brizzy Voices. And I was like, oh, my God. She was so nice. And so that was just a funny coincidence. And then I interviewed those two people. Then I interviewed one more person who was dressed up from Owl House. And then I interviewed this couple, but they gave such terrible answers, to be honest. I just cut it out. I was like, why are you guys dressing up as this? They're like, we don't really care about this stuff. We're just dressed up. They just had nothing interesting to say. They're like, we're just here. We don't care. But
I'm glad we got the scoop.
Yeah, but the sonic screwdriver, my friend actually, like, I was at his house, and in high school, I was president of Doctor Who Club. And so I was at his house a few months ago, and we're talking about Doctor Who, and he's like, look, I still have a sonic screwdriver from high school. I was like, that's so great. Like, can I borrow it to make a funny video? I don't know what I'll do with it. And he's like, sure. I'm going to San Diego. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll somehow use the sonic screwdriver at some point. So I put it in my car. I'm about to transfer cars to my friend's car. I see the Sonic. I'm like, you know what? Like, maybe I could like put my like a lapel mic on it, so I actually have something to hold because I have no other way to interview people. I need to put it on something. So it was the only thing I had near me to put the lapel mic on, and it just became, people were like, oh my God, it's a sonic screwdriver microphone, and it became like something that people talked about a lot. And it was just a funny coincidence. Like, it was the only thing I had to hold a lapel mic. And that's how that came to be.
You know, there was a time where Cody was just taping his mic onto random things.
I like that.
Videos.
Yeah, it's true.
And
I stopped doing it because it was hard to find
talks of
things you could hold in your hand.
There was talks.
No.
I noticed his desperation for new items when he was like, "What about my turtle?" And I said, "I don't think people would love that."
You're gonna hold your turtle.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I
He's
never
great.
held my
Love the
tortoise
turtle.
Sheldon and attached a lapel mic to him. Maybe I should though. Still, it's not a bad idea. But anyway, so when I mentioned that, Sammy, so I think Christian and I want to interview cosplayers. I think that could be a lot of fun.
You should.
So it's
It's
just
really
so
great.
funny that I'm pretty sure that's literally like the first video of yours that I saw, and it was like
Yeah.
the perfect video to get introduced to like your kind of content because you just go and
Okay.
even though you might say you're an introvert, I mean you had a lot of energy in the video, and it's just got
Thanks.
all that style, and you got the Doctor Who the mic. I love
I'm
the
so
story
nervous.
behind that, by the way, too.
Thank you. I was so nervous to talk to those people. It was so bad. My friend was like, "Come on, like it's okay.
You know-
Like I could ask them for you." I was like, "I'll do it. I'll ask them. It's fine."
I'm really good at talking to people I know,
Mhm.
and celebrities too. For some reason, if I see like an actor walking down the street, I'll be like, "Hey, picture."
Hey,
Respect.
picture.
But
Respectful,
I'm not
okay,
afraid to
attitude.
like approach them. But I filmed. I was making TikToks, and then on Free Comic Book Day, I had someone approach me and be like, "Hey, you're the guy
Coming
from
up, isn't
TikTok,
it?
right?" And
That
and
is
I
coming up.
immediately just like, I was like, "Don't talk to me."
Yeah, no, it's hard to talk to random people in public. I film in public a lot, and it's the most nerve-wracking thing. Let me tell you something. The meanest people are middle school girls, and even like high school girls, but less. Just high schoolers and middle schoolers in general. You know what I'm saying? Like, if a middle schooler said
Yes.
something mean to me, I'd cry. They're like, "Your jacket's ugly." I'm like, "I don't know how to dress myself," you know? Like, they're just the meanest. And I had to film a
true.
video of me vlogging for my coffee and comic segment for TKO Studios. I was at the bookstore and then at Barnes & Noble looking for TKO comic books there, and I found like the Banks. And then I was like just getting a coffee and reading a book with me, and there were like just high schoolers, like young high schoolers everywhere. And there were ones like right at the table next to me as I was like vlogging to myself, and I was so uncomfortable and nervous and insecure about being right next to these high schoolers. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people are like prime Gen Z, and I'm just over here talking to my camera about a comic book. Like, I was so embarrassed. It's so nerve-wracking.
John Mulaney has
Yeah.
Mulaney has a bit about like kids know your insecurities and they'll point them
They
out.
do that. No, exactly.
I remember
They do that.
I had a really bad day at work. And I got home just defeated. I was like, I don't want to talk to anyone. And I got out of my car, and like a middle schooler came out to me and said, "Hey, you're the guy that makes the cringy videos." And I was like, God.
At least he recognized you. But see what I'm saying? Like, the middle school, they're the ones who
Call it
say you
cringy.
face your face in public. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
they're mean. They're brutal, dude.
And you can't punch him.
Once in
It's
the parking
illegal.
lot. Once in a parking lot, there was a middle school girl with her dad, and she stopped me and told me she liked my style. And I was like, I'm the coolest person ever. A middle schooler likes my style. I made it.
Yeah, it
So
does work the
mental.
reverse, Sammy. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, they're like
they also
so
give the best
they're so
compliments.
sweet.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. They say what's on their mind. So
Yep.
if it's good, it's great. But if it's bad, it's the worst thing you can hear.
Yeah, exactly. Little, like, I guess little kids too will also just like have no filter. I don't really
Yeah.
talk to
Oh, yeah,
kids a
but
lot,
it's
to be
great.
honest. But just like in the wild, you know, when I used to work at a theme park and stuff, you know, there are a lot of kids there.
Yeah.
They attack you where you hated the most. It's scary. It's really, really scary,
It is.
actually.
I was a scare actor at Universal Studios for like 5 years. So every Halloween Horror Nights,
That's
I was
cool.
a character. And the last run I did, the high schoolers were just like the meanest that year, dude. They were just the meanest, man. And they were making little TikTok. They were like making little TikTok videos too. They were like screaming things at me, like internet things that I had no idea what they were asking me. I think they're asking me to do some sort of trendy dance. Like, I just had no idea what they were communicating. I don't know what they were saying. I was like,
Right.
how old am I? I don't know what they're saying to me. But they were so mean that run. There's so many of them.
Yeah,
Dude, kids are
we're
mean
not old. I
nowadays.
mean, 24 is young, you know?
Yeah,
24 is
Right.
young.
that's true.
But the kids feel so distant. Like, I have a 14-year-old brother, and he was talking to me like about like a song, Boy's a Liar, or whatever it's called. I'm not in touch with culture right now. And he was like, yeah, Pink Panthers. And I was like,
Who?
yeah. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, the one with Ice Spice. And I was like, keep going.
Who? Who's Ice Spice?
Give
I
me
don't know.
something
I don't know
else,
what
man.
you're
I
talking
don't.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's someone who's gonna comment. You don't know Boys a Lot? No, I don't know anything.
But
I
like,
think-
and then the crazy thing
So-
is, Sammy, it's like the #1 song in the world. You know what I mean? Like it's the
Wait, what?
Despacito or whatever.
I
That
don't
boy's a
even-
liar
I
or
don't
something.
think I was ever. I don't think I was ever at any point in my life relevant with current pop culture. There was a point in my school, in high school, where I dyed my hair like pink or blue or something, and some like popular girl was like, "Did you dye your hair because Kylie dyed her hair?" And I was like, "Kylie in our class, she has red hair. I didn't dye my hair because they're like, no, Kylie." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Kylie's red hair." They're like, "No, you're like kidding with us, right?" I was like, "No." And like a month later, I discovered who like Kylie Jenner was, and she had pink hair or something. And I was like, "Oh, they were talking about like Kylie Jenner." I didn't know who that was, but everybody else did. So this maybe it's just me thing. I don't know. I don't know what the kids are into these days, to be honest.
I feel like
You
that
know what?
all the
I
time.
think we're getting to know you a lot, Sammy, and I feel like I relate,
I'm an old lady.
which I appreciate.
I'm an old lady. I spend my time reading. I like to dress up cute and like go to the coffee shop, get myself some flowers. You know, like I'm an old lady.
Love flowers.
Yeah.
I have like people always ask me like, oh, you know what? The people who are talking about flowers, and I'll be like, oh, love orchids, and they'll be like, what do you know about flowers? And I'm like, I have 4 flowers tattooed on me as we speak.
Nice. I have 2.
Flowers are my favorite thing.
I love that. No wonder you like poison ivy.
That's true.
And I feel like an old man all the time. I was at work and I think it was my assistant manager. She was like, "Hey, what's your last song you played?" And people were like, "Oh, whatever. I don't know, the random songs." And they made me pull mine out, and it was "Man, I Feel Like a Woman." It was "Man, I Feel Like a Woman," and then they were like, "Okay, we don't know that one."
I don't
Next.
know if I
And
know
it
that
just
one either, to
transitioned.
be honest.
It's Shania Twain. It's
yeah.
great.
I've been
And then
If Christian sang it
skipped
for you,
it and
his
they went
singing
to
voice
jazz.
is pretty good. You would recognize it, I'm sure. Christian's got a beautiful singing voice.
it's the last song I listened to.
I'll send you the link. But after that, they said, "Okay, next." We don't know that song, and it skipped to jazz. And I was
the
like,
last song I
"Listen,
listened to.
guys, you're not."
Gasoline from Måneskin is the last
Nice.
song I listened to.
It's a good
Gasoline.
band.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we gotta. You know what? I think this is the first episode where we really do a deep dive into like a guest, and that's my favorite part because we came into this one. Sometimes with guests, we'll be like, "Okay, they like this, this, this." But
Yeah,
we
with a
really
plan.
don't like. We'll just like have like bullet points. With this one, we were just like indie comics, and then let's just let it roll. She has a good
sure.
personality.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I can
I
talk a
think
lot.
that'll wrap it up, Christian. Do you think that wraps it up, Christian?
Yeah, I'll say one. I'll ask this because it's something I struggle with. You are very passionate about Doctor Who.
Me?
Yes.
I used to be a fan in high school, but I haven't watched it in years.
So, you're a fan of you were a fan of Doctor Who
Yeah.
and indie comics. So if you could tell me one indie comic other than Layla Starr, which is the best one, that you would like to recommend to a new reader, and then good place to start with Doctor Who. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll jump on.
Little Monsters from Jeff Lemire. It's like about a bunch of kid vampires in the ruins of the apocalyptic world. And they've been alone for hundreds of years, the last people on Earth, but then they discover a human. And the group kind of gets divided on the discovery of this human. It's so well done, really great art style, and it's just a really, really cool story. Jeff Lemire writes kids very well. I never really thought I would like comics about kids, but I mean, these kids are just kind of in adult situations. You know, they're like oddly really relatable, you know?
Yeah.
And for Doctor Who, I would start at the 9th Doctor. That's when it came back. Because, you know, it used to be like, I don't know when it started, like way back before the 2000s.
Way
it
back.
was around. And then they brought it back with the 9th Doctor. Now, he's a little bit harder to get into, but his companion, like Rose Tyler, is a main character. And then it will transition to David Tennant and then Matt Smith. And they're like the prime doctors and then so
Okay.
on and stuff. But start at the 9th Doctor. And know that it's going to take a while to kind of get used to it. But then when you get to David Tennant, you're going to be hooked on that show. So,
You know what? That's perfect.
Yeah.
Cody, you have any last thoughts?
No, dude, I just want to thank Sammy for coming on. Had a ton of fun chatting indie comics, convention stuff. Oh, I guess the one thing I will say, Christian, go watch our last episode, guys. It's a pretty good one. You know, Christian,
Heck
I don't
yes.
know. What do you think? Do you think it's a good one? But other than that,
It's
mean, just
about
make sure
indie comics.
Nice.
it is about indie comics again. We talk a lot about indie comics, but I will say, we don't do a good job
Nice.
promoting ourselves. So make sure you hit that like button, rate us wherever you're listening, all that good stuff. That's all I'm gonna say, Christian. That's it.
Okay. And the last thing I'll say is just go watch Sammy's videos. Not only for a good personality, but if you want to just found new comics to read, there's been a bunch of times where I'll watch one of her videos and just jump onto buying whatever I saw on TikTok.
Thank
So
you.
good place. I mean, you work a lot with indie like public. I've seen you with Boom a lot, and it's great. So go watch your videos. Anything you want to promote, Sammy?
Hashtag Renew Warrior Nun. Let's bring back season 3.
Wow,
That's
nice. I love that.
I'm just a little bit into everything I do. Just hashtag Renew Warrior Nun. Real people, they'll know. They'll know.
You know what? We'll post clips for this episode, and I'll make sure to put Renew Warrior Nun
Thank
in
you.
there. Okay?
I appreciate that.
We got you. We got you.
Thank you.
Hashtag.
Okay?